Hi, my name is Father Frederick and I live in Seoul, South Korea. And I like watching and talking about movies, so that's what I'm going to do with you today. 이 비디오 전체를 한국어로 하고 싶지만 한국어를 아직 배우고 있어서 어려울 것 같아요. 가끔은 한국어를 말하겠지만 대부분 영어로 말할 거예요. 그래서 항상 한글 자막 있을 거예요. So the movie I want to talk to you about today is called Snowpiercer. And this movie is really special to me because it was the very first Korean-made movie I ever saw. I do want to give a fair warning though that I won't be reviewing this movie. I'm going to be commenting on it. So there will be spoilers in this video. 스포일러 경고. 이 영화를 보지 않았으면 이 비디오를 보지 마세요. 설국열차 영화를 먼저 봐야 돼요. Snowpiercer is a 2013 science fiction action film directed by Bong Joon-ho. After an attempt to fix global warming goes terribly wrong, the world freezes over and everyone dies, except for those who are able to board the Snowpiercer. The Snowpiercer is a train who's built by a character named Wilford, and he's able to make a train that perpetually goes around the world, keeping everyone inside safe and warm, and they're able to live because of this train that Wilford built. The movie follows the people who are in the back of the train, and we see right away that they are subject to very harsh conditions by the front of the train. The people in the back of the train don't get to eat real food. They have to eat these protein blocks that are very bland, and they've been eating this stuff for so long that they forget what real food tastes like. They live in very cramped conditions. They're all bunched together. Many times arbitrarily, people from the front of the train will come and take away their children and their loved ones, and they won't see them again. They're also subject to very harsh punishments sometimes, usually involving freezing a limb off of somebody. 내 생각은 진짜 재미없을 것 같아요. 거기에서 살고 싶지 않아요. Even though they're living in these harsh conditions, the people at the front of the train try to justify why they have to live this way.
I am a hat, you are a shoe. I belong on the head, you belong on the foot. We must each of us occupy our preordained particular position.
This idea of preordained order proposed by the front of the train and by Wilford become almost religion-like.
And Wilford is divine!
It becomes especially apparent when the main characters of the film have to go through the school section of the train and they witness a class taking place.
So what did the prophetic Mr. Wilford invent to protect the chosen from that calamity? What happens if the engine stops? We all freeze and die. But will it stop or will it stop? No, no! Can you tell us why? The engine is eternal, yes. The engine is forever, yes. Who is the reason why? Wilford Young.
It's obvious to the people at the back of the train that this isn't a religion. And they are actually shown practicing in the back of the train more traditional religion. A man-made object, the engine, or a person like Wilford, cannot be God. And he cannot preordain who gets to live where. He shouldn't be able to do that. He's not God. I want to tell you about one of the action scenes. It is a wonderful action scene that is very well put together and that has a lot of symbolism. This is the strength of Bong Joon-ho. He adds symbols to this action scene that makes it so much more meaningful. This action scene starts off when Curtis Everett, the main character of the film, played by Chris Evans, by the way, he is such a good actor. Most people just know him for Captain America. I have Captain America here too. But in this film, he is so good. He displays so much emotion. Chris Evans' character opens one of the doors of the train and suddenly is confronted by a bunch of masked men. Now, these aren't normal masked men. If you look closely, most of them can't see. They have the masks pulled right over their eyes. They're blinded. This really intense, dark music starts to play. And one of the men with the mask suddenly pulls out from behind him a fish. And he takes the fish. He takes his axe and he puts the axe inside the fish and moves it up and down, and he pulls the axe out and the axe is bleeding. What is happening here? What does the fish mean? Many people have asked me that before. And what I think it means is these men are doing this senseless violence. They're killing a fish for no reason. And they want to show the people at the back of the train that they're willing to do that. They're willing to kill them for no reason. And Curtis Everett, the main character of the film, thinks that he has to do the same thing. His idea is to take the engine at the front of the train. And he's going to go through anyone who stops him. He keeps moving forward, fighting, and then for me, a brilliant thing happens. He actually trips on the fish that we saw before, and he falls down, right? And for me, this is a symbol of him falling into the exact thing that he doesn't want. He starts to do all of this senseless killing in order to stop the senseless killing, and it doesn't work. You end up tripping on that if you try to do it. There's a tunnel that's coming up, and the tunnel is very, very long. The men with the masks suddenly pull out night vision goggles. They get into the tunnel, and the people at the back of the train cannot see anything. They're in absolute darkness. And these men with the masks who are wearing the night vision goggles start to kill them mercilessly. There's like nothing they can do against this man-made technology and in this darkness that these people have set up for them. So Chris Evans' character, the main character, knows that they're in a lot of trouble. But suddenly he remembers that at the back of the train, they actually have the last 2 matches that are on the train. He shouts to the back of the train,
Shan! We need fire! Shan! We need fire!
"Fire! We need fire!" The kid that has the last 2 matches on the train burns one of the matches and lights a torch. He runs forward. This awesome epic music is playing, and he's passing the fire to other people. They make a whole bunch of torches. It looks awesome. You suddenly see all of these torches, and the people at the back of the train start to push back. It's kind of a theme in the movie that the people at the back of the train appreciate the natural elements. These things that aren't man-made, but that are given to us. Fire, water, air, earth. It's those things that actually end up making it possible for them to defeat the darkness, to defeat the enemy. This action scene, it gets me every time. It's so well put together. It's so exciting. It says so much. It's so beautifully shot. 봉준호 진짜 정말 좋은 감독이에요. Finally, throughout the film, we get the image of the arm. The arm continuously appears throughout the movie. It appears when the people at the front of the train are explaining to the back of the train why there should be this preordained order. We also see that a common punishment for people to receive is to get their arm frozen off. At the climax of the film, Curtis Everett, the main character, finally makes it to the engine and meets Wilford and is talking to him. And as they're talking, it's revealed that parts of the engine went extinct a long time ago. And what Wilford was doing was actually taking the children from the back of the train and actually using them as pieces of the engine. They were literally moving their arms like this to keep the engine going. These children were being used as objects, as pieces of the train. Curtis Everett sees that, and he is absolutely appalled. And he realizes that he needs to act differently now. He reaches his hand into the ground where the children are being part of the machine. His hand gets caught in the gears, but he's able to pull out the child. And as he pulls out the child, he ends up losing his arm. I'd like to point out that I think that Curtis Everett ends up being a Christ figure in this movie. It's actually pretty common to see Christ figures in movies. Even in modern movies, it happens quite often. I think probably the most clear Christ figure in film is in The Shawshank Redemption, and we might talk about that movie later. But I definitely see Curtis Everett as a Christ figure in this movie. It's pointed out that Curtis Everett was the only person to ever walk through every car of the train.
You are the first human being to have walked the total length of this train, tail to engine. Did you know that?
And we believe as Christians that Christ saved every person when he became man. He went through all walks of life and walked through the entire train of humanity to save all people. Curtis Everett ends up saving the people on the train and starting kind of a new life for humanity by giving his arm, losing an arm, which was kind of the capital punishment that was on the train. Well, in the same way, Christ, by going through the capital punishment of the time, dying on the cross, also ends up saving all of humanity, creating a new life for everyone. The very last scene of the movie is an image of this new life that now takes place now that the train has been broken. A girl and a boy emerge from the train, the image of a new Adam and a new Eve that gives a new beginning to mankind. At the beginning of the movie, among the religious imagery that we see in the back of the train, there is a crucifix. And that crucifix is seen on the wall during an important dialogue scene. It's apparent that Christ does not have an arm on that crucifix. That's a real indicator to me that the message of this movie is that self-giving like Christ redeems and saves and eventually breaks the injustice of this world. Just like Curtis Everett's sacrifice of his own arm breaks the train at the end of the movie. 제가 봤을 때 이 영화의 메인 메시지는 사랑과 자기 희생은 가장 중요한 것이다. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts on the movie Snowpiercer. If you liked what you saw, consider subscribing so that you can keep up with my future videos. I'm going to be coming back and talking about more movies here on this channel. 안녕히 계세요. 나중에 봐요.